Hello, everyone. I almost forgot how to go live. Hit the wrong button. But we're here. We're going to make some pretty cards tonight. And I think they're pretty easy to put together, especially since you all have all the parts and pieces. I'm just going to type a message here. There are a couple other people who are going to join us tonight. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're here or if they're coming. So I'm just going to wait a few minutes to get started. I'll let you know that we're going to do this card first. This is just for you with the yellow cardstock. So you can look for your kit. I tried to keep them in order, but I know when I mailed them out, I then had to put them in 2 stacks. So okay, Lindsay, thank you. So I don't know which pile yours would be, but hopefully it's one of the piles, the top one, this yellow card. So and we're going to, just need the regular class supplies to make these cards. I'll give you some information up front here, and then I'll repeat it at the end in case people are not, don't hear it. For these cards, I used an older stamp set. This is from several years ago. It's the Chelsea Gardens card making stamp set, and it's got the flowers and the leaves and the butterflies. There are several beautiful stamp sets available with flowers, with butterflies. I'm sure a lot of you have sets that you can use with these. But if you need if you wanted to make some more, or you like this idea, you like this paper and you want to make some more, there is actually the stamp set that goes with the paper collection. So it's the paper collection is Cherish, the stamp set is called Cherish. So this is what that looks like, and it comes with the thin cuts, so you can cut them out as well. You can see that they coordinate with the paper collection, so that's a good option. There are also a whole bunch of them. You can do a search on the website. There's this kind of swag one too. This one doesn't have butterflies, but there are there are stamp sets with butterflies available. There's this one too that's really pretty, which is the Operation Smile set. This one, the profits go to Operation Smile. So this one's got a lot of fun sayings about smiles, but also the beautiful flowers. And then if you want to save some money and you need one, there's also a stamp set in the Cyber Monday sale, which ends very soon. I just want to see. Oh, 7 hours. So you have some time after class if you want to do some shopping. There's some fun stuff in there. But there is a floral stamp set. It's the Isabella scrapbooking stamp and thin cuts. So they have the thin cuts, and they are more beautiful flowers to that would work well with this set. Okay, hi Brian and Deborah. Sorry, I don't know if you or okay, being called Deb. Um, and I did receive your check today, so just to let you know. Thank you. Um, I'm trying to see what else. The other question I had for everybody is there is um a Picture My Life card set that's being sold in the Cyber Monday sale. It's the Serenity collection. We did not use those in a class, but I know everybody likes those classes. So it's kind of hard because I have to order them without knowing how many people wanted to sign up. But if anybody is interested, let me know either in the chat or send me a message right after class so I can decide if I should buy some of those. This is not the paper we would use because this paper is no longer available, but this is the paper collection from Serenity. So that gives you an idea of what the card set looks like. It's blue and toffee, which is like a warm tan color, is the colors. There's these a bunch of florals and things. So if you think this was the sticker sheet again, I can't get the sticker sheet, but I can get the card. So if you think you might be interested in those, let me know. Sorry, I have to remove a post. Okay, so that is that. And then I'll just show you these. I'm doing in a couple of weeks on the 12th, Monday. It's a Monday, the 12th. I wanted to avoid Microsoft Patch Day, so that's why we're doing Monday instead of Tuesday. I'm going to do these gift card holders, and they're Christmas themed since Christmas is coming up, of course. But obviously, once you learn how to make them, you can make them for any occasion. So this is from one of the new, we're going to use one of the new Sentiment Christmas stamp sets. And then this is the November stamp of the month. So you would get all of the images as always, but if you wanted your own, I know I've used this a bunch now, so you can't see it as well, but let me take it off. So this is the stamp set. So if you wanted your own stamp set, you can only order it through the end of November, which is what, tomorrow? It's only $5 with a $50 purchase. So if you had Cyber Monday things you wanted to buy, you might want to pick this up as well. It's a great set. It has the 3 snowflakes, and which don't actually have to be snowflakes. They're mandalas. So especially this one you can really use for any occasion, but they also have some nice sayings for the holidays. So I just wanted to let you know that. The December stamp of the month is also cute. I think it's cute for those of you who like cutesy stuff. Sorry, I put it out of reach. Animals. So they could be Christmas, they could be any occasion. So no penguins, Kathy. So anyway, these are, I was showing you the actual gift tag holders. So this is a box card. So it's a box, and then you would just put your gift card in there. And again, the saying here, I can hold it so you can see it, is from that Sentiment stamp set too. And then we've got the little shopping bag, which does stand up. And I am going to give you more ribbon so the handles are a little longer. So we got this cute little shopping bag, and you take out the insert. And, well, I guess I took all the gift cards out when I was taking pictures. But your gift card would go right in there and into the back. So that's on the 12th, $22. If you're interested, please let me know as soon as possible because not a lot of time to get you kits. And sorry, I've had to get rid of somebody again. If you want to take this, and then I do see, Lindsay, that you and Cheryl would like to do a Serenity card workshop. So I will probably order. Kathy, is that really you? Or I actually said the name Kathy, so it is probably not you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I sent, if you didn't check your email, I did send out the directions for these right before the class. So if you wanted to print those out quick and make notes on them, I apologize for being late. I'm a little overwhelmed this week with the sales. Shopping, Christmas shopping. The magic of these cards is that all of the pattern paper for all 6 cards are cut from one sheet of 12 by 12 paper. Now this sheet, you use the 2 sides. So you've got the floral and you've got this green stripe on the back. So I am going to send you the cutting guide. I didn't finish it, but I'll finish it after class, of how to cut your paper so you can get all of these pieces out of one piece of 12 by 12 paper. And you can see that there's 2 of each design, but they look different because you can like this one's vertical, one's horizontal, but you change up the side of the paper you use and change out the layout, the embellishments on top, and you can make them look different. What was I going to say? This is the zip strip from that paper, or like on these, we also added shimmer trim. And of course, they all have gems. Sorry, I'm very confused by this message. So anyway, and then I used that stamp set for the sentiments. Now, I did not decorate the inside of any of these cards, but one of your card envelopes has a couple of extra pieces in it. And there are a couple of scraps off of that 12 by 12 paper left over. So, we've done insides before where you add a strip or a little accent, and you are welcome to use those to decorate the inside. Also, if you wanted another sheet of this paper, I do have some left. So I am willing to give you another sheet of this paper if you want to use it for the inside or to make a couple more cards. I'm happy to do that. Just let me know. I can send it with your next card kit. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm just going to put these aside for now. I'll leave this one out. Whoops, a little too far over there, because that's the other one that is kind of the opposite of this one. It's the pear. So you can see it as we're working along. Now, I'm pretty sure I mailed everybody's kit, most people's kits, or I was preparing to mail them all. So I think everybody's cards are already folded. But if they are not folded, they are The cardstock is 8.5 by 5.5. So on the 8.5 inch side, let me pretend to do this. So on the 8.5 inch side, you would score at 4.25 inches. And then just fold it in half. I didn't quite get the fold right on this one, so I'm just going to adjust it right here. So that's the same for all the cards. They're all the same size. It's the standard A2 card size. All right, so the first piece we're going to put down is the floral. And we're going to center it on the card. We have our standard 1/8 inch border around all 4 sides. Oh, I did forget to say, the light side is the side of the card that is on the outside. The darker color is on the inside. This color, I love this color. It's called shortbread. It's one of the newer colors. I think it was new last year, actually. And it's this, really warm, light yellow. It's funny because in the catalog, it's actually, I don't think it's actually in the yellows. I think it's in the browns, which, I mean, I guess the darker has a little, but to me, it's absolutely yellow. So I don't know what they were thinking there, but okay. So on top of that, we're going to put our green panel. So that we're just going to center right on top of it. I said standard 1/8 inch border, but it's not an 1/8 inch border. It's a 1/4 inch border all the way around, and that's the size it was supposed to be. That was from the cutting guide. I did not create this cutting guide and these designs. They are close to my heart designs. But I did design the cards itself, just not the sizes of the pieces. Okay, so now we're going to use another piece of this shortbread cardstock. I stamped on the lighter side. Of course, if you did not like the sentiment, you could turn it over and put the darker side and then add your own sentiment, or you don't have to have a sentiment, I guess, if you wanted to change up your card a bit. And we're going to put this, just want to confirm this. Yep. We're going to put this 1.25 inches up from the bottom of the card edge. It is the same width as the card, so it should fit perfectly edge to edge. And then we're going to put our shimmer trim. This is shimmer trim, so it has the adhesive on it. It has that clear plastic backing that can be a challenge to get off. We're going to put this right below the cardstock strip we just put on. So just butt up right against it, and your piece should be slightly longer than the card. So you can just trim it. I had to trim the left side because here's a secret. When I cut shimmer trim, I don't always cut straight unless I'm using the paper cutter. But even then, sometimes cutting straight is a challenge, right? And then we're going to add our embellishments. So our leaf cluster, and this is stamped sage ink on sage paper, and it's on cut out. We're stamping on the lighter side of the cardstock. So we're going to put that down flat. Now this has a lot of little areas, so I put this one down on the sample card with double-sided adhesive. I just put wherever it was, the paper was thick enough to add the adhesive. You can see it's not, I mean, it's absolutely secure, but it's not, totally flat to the card. So if you prefer to use a glue, you can do that, because then you can get onto the stem and into some of the areas. Just be careful, as always, with using liquid glue, that you really don't want to use too much of it, because it will ooze out from underneath. And although it dries clear, it can make a mess. And I don't tend to use it unless I have to because of that, but I will. And then there's a challenge of picking it up. So you can see I didn't put a ton on there. But it oozed out a little anyway because that spot is so skinny. But you may want to try that because it is definitely a little flatter. You also have to remember my cards, I make the cards, I move them around, I take pictures of them, I shuffle them to show them off, I shuffle them as I'm writing um, the instructions, so they get a lot of handling as I'm working on them. I'm just going to put some glue underneath there so it stays down. And then actually, this was bugging me last night when I was writing the directions. This was coming up, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue there too while I'm at it. Okay, so now we just have to put on the butterfly and the flowers, and I did that with foam tape. So I'm just digging out my roll of foam tape here. And I probably should be working over some scrap paper here. Probably see a little better too against the cutting mat, which is similar in color to the card. All right, so I've got my butterfly and my two flowers, and I'm just going to put some tape on those, some foam tape. Just trying to cut this skinny enough to put on the antenna of the butterfly. Oh yeah, I got it. I don't think I put any foam tape under the antenna on the sample, but no, I didn't. But I have another little piece here so I can stick it under there. I try to set a better example while you guys are watching me than I necessarily do when I'm unsupervised. There we go. Okay, so we've got the butterfly up in the top left there, and we're going to put our 2 flowers near our leaves. Now, I'll tell you that this ink is called Twilight. It's a retired color. But I didn't, I unfortunately made the mistake of I did not buy the Mist, which is this background color, the Mist ink pad, which I'm going to be buying because now I really love that color. So if you were to duplicate these cards, or you wanted to buy a blue-gray ink color to coordinate, get the Mist. But I thought the Twilight worked well for these. It's just not available anymore. Okay, and now we've got our gems. I'm trying to find my open packet of gems, which oh well, I'll find them later. Oh, and I did want to say, forgot to tell you, there is also, if you did need butterfly stamps, there is a set that has a couple of butterflies in and a bird in the, what is it, Cyber Monday sale. Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's actually Giving Tuesday. Okay, so we're going to do 1 big gem and 2 small ones. These are the glitter gems. And the big one is here. Here, I'll lift it up for you. The big one is down here. There's a small one up to the right. And then there's a small one next to the Just For You on the other side of the stem. 1 big, 2 small. So these are the silver colored glitter gem. There's a couple other colors available, and as I've shown you in the past and we'll do in the gift tag workshop, you can color them with alcohol markers. So you can buy the silver ones. You can have any color you need. So that was the big one. And you guys all know this, but I put down dots of glue just in case. I like to do that as backup for the adhesive, which, you know, sometimes when you handle your cards a lot, as I do, they don't stick quite as well. So I always add that drop of liquid glue, which you are welcome to do as well, but it is optional. So there it is. All right. So we're going to do the same basic setup on this card. This time we are using a mink cardstock. That's the name of the color, mink. It is not actually what I picture the color of mink, the animal's fur, to be. So I don't know where it comes from, or maybe I'm picturing mink the wrong color. Maybe they are this color. I don't know. But that's the cardstock we're using. It's called mink. We're going to use the darker side, the lighter side, very pale, is on the inside. And we're going to do just like we did on the other card. We're going to, but this time the papers are going to be in the opposite direction. So we're going to put the green one down first and then the floral on top of it. And when we center the bigger piece, the green piece, it's actually, the color is called Sage. Again, it's one of the newer colors. You're going to center it on the card and you're going to have that 1/4 inch border around all 4 sides. And then when we put the floral on top of it, it will then be an 1/8 inch border of the sage around the edge of the floral. Whoops. And this is a floral paper that it doesn't really have an upside and a downside. The flowers go every which way. They're kind of tossed is what they refer to it as. And so there isn't a right way or a wrong way. Now, there may be, you may turn it around and say, oh, but I really like how it looks this way instead. So you might have a preference, but there isn't a right and a wrong. Okay. So next we're going to put, again, a piece of the shortbread cardstock. I've got Thinking of You stamped in sage on the lighter side of this cardstock. And we're going to put it 1.5 inches up from the bottom edge of the card. Now, this is a skinny piece, so you can just put one strip of adhesive down the middle. I did not get my adhesive all the way to the end on my sample, which is why I added that little bit of glue a few minutes ago, just to keep it tacked down. So I guess my only advice would be to make sure you have enough glue on the ends. And I got one on that. I got it good on that end, but not on that edge. So, or again, if it's easier for you, I'm just going to line it up with my sample card. If it's easier for you, you can use glue. And it's just like on the other card, it's the same width as the card. So it should fit perfectly edge to edge. And then we're just going to simply put this flower on it. And we've got the flower is stamped in the shortbread. And the leaves are stamped in sage. And they're both on white daisy cardstock. And I'm just going to put foam tape on the back of them. I buy these big rolls of foam tape, but if you don't want to be bothered with buying the big rolls and cutting them and everything, we do sell packets of dots. They're actually squares of foam tape, and there's both a thinner and a thicker version. So a lot of people prefer to do that than to cut all these little pieces. And I mean, you could still cut them apart if your square was too big. You could still cut them into a smaller piece like I'm doing here. Everybody has their personal preferences about adhesive. So I'm going to just put this on the right side of the card. about centered over the strip of shortbread, a little higher than center. Whoops. Don't get your sleeve in your adhesive. And I want to make sure it's over enough. It's really towards the edge of the floral paper because I just want to make sure there's enough room that I can put my leaves in here without covering up the sentiment. Now, you can put it as high or low as you want it, angle it the way you fit. I If you're struggling, this notch in the flower, I put that to the top right. I felt that's how the flower looked most upright, but whatever looks good to you. And then I just put the leaves to the left here, lower than halfway. And then I just tucked them up just the tiniest bit. I just didn't want a gap. And actually, I put on the 2 cards, you can see this one, these leaves are angled more down. Those are more straight in. Doesn't really matter as long as you like how you put them. And again, we're going to, oh no, this one I didn't put gems on because when I went to put them on, you couldn't really see them on the floral paper. It didn't enhance it at all. Okay, so those are those 2 styles, or the one style, 2 different versions. Next, we're going to do these 2. And this I changed it up a little, changed up the 2 cards a little because on this one I put shimmer trim and this one I put the zip strip. So we're going to do this one first, which is again on the shortbread cardstock. Now, you'll notice, or I don't know if you noticed, or if it's that obvious on camera, the zip strip is slightly wider than the shimmer trim because the zip strip is a 1/2 inch. The shimmer strip is about 3/8 of an inch. So the they're supposed to be spaced 1/8 of an inch apart, the 4 strips. These are a little more than 1/8 because the shimmer trim is a little skinnier. And you're supposed to have about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. See, they confused me on this set with this 1/4 inch spacing because normally it's an 1/8 inch, but these strips are all 5 inches long. So and the card is 5.5, so that leaves you your 1/4 inch. Now we're going to use the lighter side, and for some reason I folded my card with the darker side on the outside, so I am just going to switch up that fold and have the lighter side. Now, if you prefer the darker side and yours is folded to the darker side, you can keep it that way, or you can just do what I did and switch it up. Now, I had some kind of defective, we'll say, shimmer trim here. Hopefully nobody got it. I think I caught it all. I was just going to see if any of these pieces are usable, so I didn't cut it for my own set, but no, I don't like those. I'm going to use the new roll. And so this strip is 5 inches. Now, when we put it on across a card like we did before, I'll cut it a little longer for you because then you can trim it to fit. But when you want it in a space that you know, it doesn't go to the edge, you can't trim it. You want that exact 5 inches, just like paper strips. So I will actually put my shimmer trim in the paper cutter and cut it that way. And then I know I get a more accurate. You could actually also put it, you know, on your on a cutting board with a ruler. You could, you know, actually put your other ruler here and, you know, measure it for the 5 inches and cut it. So that's, you know, 2 ways to cut it. So I've got all these strips here. And I really want the skinniest one first. And we're going to put the floral side down. I'm putting 2 strips. Oh, you can't see me, sorry. 2 strips of adhesive on this because it's wide enough. It's a 1/2 inch, so it's wide enough to put the 2 strips of adhesive on there. And I'm going to center it top to bottom and give that same spacing that you have on the top and the bottom on the left hand side. Now, if you're feeling confident, and one way to do that is to put all your strips in there and you can kind of see, okay, that's where it would go, and that's really 1/8 of an inch spacing between each. So you can then go ahead and put your shimmer trim on next, or you can work from the other side and work your way in. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take my next widest strip, and again I'm going to put adhesive. The floral side is face up, so I'm going to put my adhesive on the back. And here's a little tip. If you're afraid that you're not going to be able to line up the top and bottom edges, I mean, it's centered, but if you're not great at centering, what I will do is I will put my ruler against the bottom edge here of this strip. Now, it's supposed to be 1/8 inch spacing, and it is exactly 1/4 inch spacing. And so I can line up my ruler on that 1/4 inch line right across. Can you see that? Right across the bottom edge of the card, but it is butted up against that strip, and you should be able to eyeball it, make sure it's straight. And then I'm going to put my strip down, and I'm going to butt it up against that ruler. I'm going to leave the same amount of space that's on this side, which is the same at the top and the bottom because that's how we lined it up on this side. I've got some adhesive sticking out, so I'm just repairing or pushing that underneath before I stick it totally down. And there you go. That's one way to make sure your pieces are lined up vertically if they don't go all the way to the edge. Now again, we can put our our 2 middle pieces down and figure out some equidistant spacing. Again, it should be about 1/8 of an inch, possibly a little wider, but now the ATG gun adhesive is Not always easy, but it's easier to pull up than that shimmer trim. So I'm going to put my adhesive on that first. And I'm going to, if you're good at eyeballing it, you can just put it down and remember. But if you want to hold the shimmer trim down, and if you have trouble holding it down, you could always use a small piece of reusable tape as well. Temporary, removable. That's the, is that what I said at first? That's what it's called, removable tape. And, but you can hold that there and you can eyeball to make sure you have some equidistant spacing. And I'm just looking to see my bottom is lined up. But again, you can put your ruler back if you need that extra insurance that you're lining everything up evenly at the top and the bottom. Now we just have that small space and we can put our shimmer trim down. If you can get the backing off. Get it started, don't let go. Done it twice now. There we go. Okay, so whoops. Gonna line up that bottom and I'm gonna center it in the space. And there you go. And that's the silver shimmer trim. I wasn't sure which color I liked better, the shimmer, the silver, or the mist. So I used some of each. Okay, so now we have our shortbread strip across. And I stamped the thanks in on the darker side. And we're going to put that up 1.5 inches from the bottom. Now, normally I tell you about 1.5, it doesn't matter. And you can be a little off on this one too. Just don't be a lot off because I positioned this where I did on purpose so that a butterfly would fit on below it and 2 on top of it with maybe not perfect equal spacing, but it looks good. So I am just putting my ruler. I also have a wider ruler, which I really love using these quilting rulers because you buy a wider ruler. This one is 3 inches wide. You can line up that 1.5 inch line on there and then you can butt up your ruler. I mean, this one is great for up to 1 inch, but often we are using bigger spacing, so these work well. All right, and now we can put our 3 little butterflies on with foam tape. Okay, so We're going to put the bottom one on first. We're going to center it left to right within this green strip, and we're going to center it top to bottom again within the green block. We are then going to put the top one on, again centered left to right. You're going to put about the same amount of spacing above the butterfly than you did below this butterfly. And then we're going to put the middle one on. Center it left to right, center it top to bottom in the space that is left. Now we're going to put some gems on here. Again, we're going to use 1 large and 2 small. The large one is here. A small one down to the right, and another small one on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and put my dots of glue in position. This third gem on the left here would be in the middle of the strip of shimmer trim. But of course it's on top of the shortbread cardstock. Really is similar to the color of shortbread. So now I want shortbread. Anybody have a good recipe for shortbread? I've never made it. It's not something I had until I was an adult, but I do like it. Okay, so there we go. 'Tis the season to start thinking about cookies, right? Not that I need to be eating cookies, and I certainly don't have time to make cookies, but all right, and now we're going to do the other one that is very similar. And this one, we have Colonial White cardstock. Colonial White is retired, but there is, I do have some left, obviously. There is a color called French Vanilla, which is actually it's lighter, it's a little less yellow than this cardstock. It's closer to the white side, but it's not the bright white that White Daisy is. Okay, so the first piece we're going to put on is our zip strip. And our zip strip, if you're not familiar with that term, that is the half-inch strip of paper that is at the top of every 12 by 12, almost every 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper that Close to My Heart has. And you can see, you can't see the whole thing, but it says the name of the paper collection. It says 12 by 12 sheets, and it tells you the colors that are in the paper collection. So it's educational, but on the back of them, so they weren't just wasting paper, they put a decorative element so you can actually use them in your cards. And just like on the other card, we are going to put this strip on the left side of the card. You're going to center it top to bottom, and you're going to leave that same amount of space on the left hand side, which should be about 1/4 of an inch. Now, once again, I am going to work on to put the opposite side down next and work my way in so I can get my spacing equal. I've got a piece of adhesive up here. Doesn't want to come off. There we go. Okay, so the one that goes all the way to the right is this the widest strip. And we're going to put the green side down. And we can use our ruler to make sure we're lined up. Our bottom edges are lined up. We're going to leave that same space that's on the left, about 1/4 of an inch on the right. And I just want to make sure it's straight before we put it down. Make sure we were holding our ruler straight. And now I'm going to put my 2 inner strips. Mine might look a little weird. I had to adjust the measurement to be more accurate on your cards. So my sample is a little wider, so just ignore that. And again, you should have 1/8 of an inch between each of your pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this floral strip down next. Whoops. And now you have 2 pieces. So your ruler, it should be easier to hang on to. Just butt up your ruler against the bottom of those 2 strips. And now you might find this more difficult because you might need like a 3rd hand to make sure everything's in place. Take some practice. So if you can't do it, don't feel bad. And finally, we're going to put our skinny green strip down. Oh, that could be what it stands for, Lindsay. Yeah, I was wondering if one of her grandsons created that identity, which is why she's incognito today. So there you go. So now you have all 4 strips down. The next piece we're going to put down is the piece that says Dear Friend. This is pewter. The color is pewter. It's stamped on the darker side. Although I gotta say, this one, it's always hard to tell which is the dark and which is the light. There's not a big difference in those two. But it's a beautiful gray. I actually stamped the sentiment with pewter ink. And I positioned it 1.25 inches from the bottom of the card. And again, this is where having this wider ruler helps, because I can set it at 1.25 inches where all the way across, whereas this one I only have this little side. And then we're gonna put the left edge against the left edge of the card, because this one obviously doesn't go all the way across, because we're gonna do our butterfly. And I tried it when I was designing it all the way across, but I liked this version better. We're also going to use our silver shimmer trim. Use this piece. It goes all the way across directly below our sentiment strip. Your piece should be slightly longer than the card, so when you position it, you can trim off the two ends, or you can trim off one end, depending if I cut across it straight or if you need to adjust it. I'm not having a whole lot of luck getting my plastic backings off today. I hope you guys are having better luck than I am. So I did manage to cut this side straight, so I can line up that edge, go all the way across, trim off that piece, and there we go. And now we just have to put on our butterfly with, we'll put foam tape onto our butterfly. Thank you for solving that mystery for us, Lindsay. And when I position this, I'm just going to make sure that the butterfly is covering the edge of that pewter cardstock. And you should not have any trouble doing that, because I brought it over far enough in the width of the butterfly. Also, I have the butterfly tilted a bit, and the bottom of it is just on top of the edge of that shimmer trim. And then we've got some gems to add on. This one we're going to put 2 large ones. So we've got a large one here, a large one here, and then a smaller one up to the right. Here I thought we had somebody invading our class, which has happened before, so I don't know how much time you guys spend on YouTube classes besides mine, but some of them, I don't have a lot of viewers, so there's no point in trolling me, but there are a lot of trolls out there that type messages. So so the first reaction when you see a weird name is that they don't belong. Not to mention the weird symbols. I don't like where I put that glue dot. I just swiped it up, and I'm going to put it up a little higher instead. All right, so there we go. This is the second version of the second card style. And now we're going to do the third card style. This one is also on the mink colored cardstock, and it's on the darker side. Just like on the other cardstock, or on the other card, I stamped this butterfly and the little one in Twilight ink because it is what I had available, but if I had had the mist ink pad available, I would have stamped in that color. You could also use the pewter ink, which I used to stamp this Happy Thoughts. However, I wanted the butterfly to have a little bit of that blue, and you can see from the color of the mist shimmer trim that it's kind of a gray blue, but it definitely has that blue in it. Okay, so mist cardstock, mink cardstock, darker on the outside. I stamped the Happy Thoughts for you. We're going to put on our strip of floral cardstock or pattern paper first. That's going to go all the way on the left side of the card, against the left edge, and it is the same height as the card. So just line up the top and bottom edges as well. And in this case, like, I have a tiny little bit of overhang. I've told you this before, not all paper trimmers are completely calibrated equal. So I find it easier to trim from the back, so I opened it up and I trimmed along the edge, so I have a smooth edge there and no overhang. Now I'm going to put my zip strip next to it. As you can see, that's the printed side. It always says close to my heart as well. So when you have a piece of paper in your closet that's 10 years old and you don't remember where it came from, if it still has the zip strip on it, you'll know. And I'm just going to butt this up against the floral paper, and again, it's the same height as the card, so you should be able to line up the top and bottom edges. And then on the right edge, we're going to put that shimmer trim, and we're going to, it should be a little longer than your card. I almost always make it a little longer when it's going edge to edge on the card, because it's easier to trim if I goof and cut it a little short. There's not a lot you can do, but you can always trim off the edge. So I always give you a slightly longer piece so you don't run into that trouble. Okay, this piece, I was stretching it a bit and it did not want to lie down straight, but there we go. Sometimes, you ever notice that sometimes the harder you work at lining things up, the harder you work at trying to line it up, the less likely it is to go down straight. Okay, so next we're going to make our banner, and we've done this before. And we're going to we are going to flip it to the back to the floral side because the green side is showing, and so I want to make the mark on the opposite side. This piece of paper is 2 inches wide, so I'm going to make my mark 1 inch up from the narrow side and 1 inch up. Well, it's 1 inch either direction, so it's the paper is 2 inches, so center would be 1 inch, and then 1 inch from the short edge. So if I show you by lining up my ruler here, and I'll make that mark at the 1 inch mark. Technically, that's the 1 inch mark. And then what you can do is you can draw a line from one corner to that mark, and then you can draw another line from the opposite, no, not the opposite corner, the other corner on the same side to that mark, and you would draw a V. Now, instead of drawing it, you can cut it with your X-Acto knife, your craft knife, if you feel confident doing that, or you can draw them and then you can cut on the line with your scissors, whatever works best for you. Now, when I drew this line, I didn't get quite in the corner, so I am just going to adjust that, but I'm still going to then get back on track and aim for that mark. Now, if you are good at aiming, you don't actually have to draw the lines. You can make that mark and you can just cut it. You don't even have to measure it if you want. You can eyeball it. It depends on how perfect you want it to be. So now we're going to make this banner on our other card. So if right now you want to take out this piece from your last card kit, and you want to either trace it or you want to hold it up against it and cut it so you don't have to do that measuring again, you are more than welcome to do that. I'm going to trace it and make the mark again just to show you again how it's done if you need a refresher. But you can use this as a template. If you're making a whole bunch of these, or you're somebody who makes a lot of banners, you may want to make a template out of a cardstock and keep them around, and then you don't have to measure every time. You can just trace and cut. So that's an idea. Excuse me, that was a huge yawn. I couldn't talk through that. All right, so I'm going to put my adhesive on the back of this, on the floral side. It's always a little tricky putting adhesive on these banners because you have this point. So if you bring your adhesive all the way down to the point, sometimes you overlap the edges, and sometimes you don't get it quite all the way into the point. So I'm going to put this on my card along the top edge. I'm going to be 3/4 of an inch in from the left edge. You can eyeball it. Here's a secret. I always eyeball it when I'm designing them, and then I go back and measure them to tell you what the measurement is. If you were wondering. I don't randomly say, oh, I'm going to put it 3/4 of an inch in. I put it where I think it looks good, and then I let you know where that is. Okay, so all we have left on this card are the butterflies and the gems. So let's put some foam tape on the back of our butterflies. This little guy, he's so cute, but he can get lost easily. Okay, so this bigger butterfly, I'm gonna put him about 2/3 of the way onto the green banner on an angle. Butterflies always fly on an angle, in case you were wondering. And then I'm gonna put this guy below the banner, kind of halfway between that banner point and the sentiment. And we're gonna put some gems onto the banner. We're gonna put the big one here, small one down to the left, and another small one up. Okay, so I'm gonna put that big one down first, and then I'm gonna put the two smaller ones. Oh, this one doesn't want to come off its sheet. I didn't tell you to rub the back of them to make sure the adhesive is adhered to the gems like I normally do, and I wasn't having any trouble with them until this one. So I think I've told you that before, that I put my thumb and finger, I put my thumb on top of the gem and I rub underneath, and hopefully can get that adhesive sticking to the gem really well, but I already moved it out of place, so my little trick is not working this time. There we go. And that's all we got there. I really like the colors of these cards. Okay, last card, and this one is horizontal. We are using that Colonial White cardstock again. Oh, and this envelope should have your extra pieces in it. You probably don't have those extra pieces, but you probably have a couple of extra pieces, like I said, that you can put on the inside of your cards if you want to decorate the inside. So just like, oh, I'm sorry, I've had a long couple of days. Sorry about that. We're going to put our strip of green pattern paper on first. And on the last card, it was against the left edge, but because we've turned this card horizontally, it's going to be up against the top edge of the card. However, I am going to turn the card sideways because I can see it better to line it up. And the top and bottom edges should line up as well. And I can already see that, nope, I lied. Doesn't really have an overhang. Okay. And I'm going to use that piece of shimmer trim, the silver shimmer trim, and you're going to butt that up against the green pattern paper. Sorry, Apparently, I couldn't finish my sentence while I'm trying to peel this backing off. I was also thinking at the same time, I wanted to let you know that, the strip is 12 inches wide, just like the paper. So if you're only using one piece of paper, you've only got that 12 inches. So that's why we only used it on 2 cards, because that's all we had. If I'm just trimming off the edge of the shimmer trim. If we had more of the zip strips, and if you buy the paper pack, you'll have two of them. Then you have extra pieces, or you can use strips of another coordinating paper, or you can use the shimmer trim. All right, so this unlike the other pieces, this piece of shortbread cardstock does not have any stamping on it, but he added it anyway because somehow it just needed, this card needed an extra piece of paper, an extra color. So I'm going to have the dark side showing. So I'm putting adhesive on the white side of the cardstock, and I'm going to attach it an inch in from the left side. So I'm lining my ruler up. It's the same height as the card, so it should fit perfectly top to bottom. Put it right over that shimmer trim, and it should not cover up your flower and your sentiment that I stamped. I was careful about where I stamped them. If I screwed up, you can always adjust a little bit. This flower was stamped in the twilight. The leaves were stamped in the sage, and the thinking of you was stamped in the pewter. And as I've said several times before, if you were buying the inks or using the current set of inks, then I would use the mist color. Okay, so now we have to cut our banner, and we're going to do that the same way as we did on the last card. I'm going to make sure I cut this end because I want to save that flower. So that's just something to pay attention to if you have a design element on the front of the paper that you want to preserve. So once again, this piece of paper is 2 inches wide. I'm going to come in 1 inch from the bottom. I know it's sideways, but this is the bottom. I'm going to measure at 1 inch. My paper for some reason is not exactly 2 inches. I didn't even notice if the other one wasn't. It was. I don't know why this one's a little narrower, but if yours isn't a little narrow, oh, it's really not. Sorry, it was just the way I was looking at the ruler. It made it look like it was short. So anyway, I'm going to come in 1 inch from the side and 1 inch from the bottom and make my mark. I can either eyeball that to cut with a craft knife, or I can draw my lines here from that mark to the 2 corners. And then I can cut on my lines. This one is a little crazy because it has the lines printed on it, so sometimes it makes you're like, wait, which line was the right line? And I did this in pencil. I'm doing it on the back, so it doesn't matter, but if you did it on the front of the banner, which I've done plenty of times, you want to make sure you use a pencil and you want to use a light hand so you can actually get those marks off. So there you go. You've got your banner. So we're just going to put adhesive on the back. And did I say that that's called a dovetail? I have no idea why it's called a dovetail. I'm sure there's a reason for it. Um, but so when you look in the instructions and when I say make a 1-inch dovetail, that's what it means. You go up 1 inch. It's always centered left to right. And then depending on how I want to use the word steep, but steep is not the right word. I mean, you can go way up and then you would have really pointy, skinny sides, or you can go only a half an inch or 3/4 of an inch instead of an inch, and it would be fatter. So this is just the measurement I decided to use. Um, so you're going to put this this banner 3/4 of an inch in from the left edge. Sorry, miscalculated my measurements. It's only a half an inch. It's what you get for if you try to remember instead of confirming. There you go. Half an inch gives you about 1/4 of an inch of that yellow to the right. Shortbread, I should say. And then we're going to add our gems. So down here, kind of right in line with the tip of that V is the big one, and a little one down to the right, and then another little one all the way over on this side. So big, little, little. And there you go. So I really hope you like these cards. It's really fun to duplicate these. You can use them with any papers, any colors. Like I said, I'm going to finish up that color guide or cutting guide and send it to you. So you can make 6 cards out of one piece of pattern paper. It's great if you only have the one piece and you want to stretch it. If you don't like, and I mean this happens, if it's not a two-sided piece of paper, then you're going to need 2 pieces of paper, and you would cut them exactly the same. And you one would be A, one would be B, and you do them the same way. Likewise, if you have a piece of pattern paper and you don't like the back of it with the front of it, sometimes you get a busy on both sides, or um, my light bulb was flickering. Sorry, that's I got distracted because I was looking and I'm like, why is it flickering? It's weird. Um, Sorry, if you don't like the back and the front together, again, you can use 2 sheets, cut them exactly the same way. Instead of 6 cards, you're going to get 12 cards. You'll get 4 of each style. And that's the same as if you use 2 one-sided pieces. Use 2 one-sided pieces, whether they truly are one-sided or you don't like the one side, you do like the other side. So that's a way that you can get 12 cards in a quick amount of time. So if you're still working on your Christmas cards, keep it in mind. And I have other layouts that are similar to make a whole bunch of cards out of one piece of paper. So I may do that again in the future. Especially nice when you have such a gorgeous paper like this. Other things here, other reminders. Tomorrow's the end of the month, so if you want that stamp of the month, it's got to be ordered by tomorrow. The Cyber Monday sale ends in a couple of hours now. What, it was a 7 before class, so now it's probably um, a little over 5. Um, I'm just looking here. And if you just under 6 hours it ends. So if you want anything, contact me really quick. Let's say within the next hour. What time is it? 8 o'clock. Contact me before 9 if you want anything. Um, and I will put in my order at 9. Um, you can also put in your own order. So that'll give you a little extra time. And then, excuse me, I dried out my throat by talking so much. Also, if you want to take the, some of you have already signed up for this, but if you want to take the gift card class, gift card holder class, um, let me know that as soon as possible as well, because that's in 2 weeks. So I got to get kits out to you. Sorry about that. Okay. I think that's everything. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay, Mom. And I guess I will sign off. Thank you very oh, the other thing is, well, the gift card class will be the last class for the year. And I do have definite ideas for classes next year. So stay tuned. And thank you so much for joining me tonight and all the other classes you've taken with me. I appreciate it. And I hope to talk to you in person soon. Thanks. Good night.